Paul Nisi from FrontDoorsGamer.com.
And I'm Scott Cates of the Comic Station.
And this is Comic Station issue number 38 for September 18th, 2013. To kick it off today for September 18th, 2013, we're going to jump into Dark Horse Comics Buzzkill number 1. This one I'm going to take is more of a psychological superhero story. It starts out in a AA meeting. It gives a false name, but he starts looking down on the other AA members, and you basically, throughout the story, you find out that all those beer muscles and the beer brains that you think you get when you get drunk, he actually gets them. That's how his superpowers are activated, drugs and alcohol. So he questions, does that actually make him an addict, or does that make him a hero? So right off the bat, starts questioning some things, and eventually he gets into retelling his story of basically why he's there at the AA, and you get the idea that there was a catastrophic battle at some point, and because of his powers, he blacks out. He doesn't remember it. All he knows is there's devastation, and whoever he was fighting still hasn't woken up. So you get the idea. He's there, obviously, in the AA meeting, and you do end up seeing an ex-partner, I guess. So you know that he's left the hero group that he was in at some point, and obviously they have their own problems, but it's a very psychological issue, especially at the end where you find out that a group of villains knows he's going to the AA meeting, and they're kind of, not to spoil anything, but they're kind of, it's a joke to them.
That's a good way of putting it, yeah. I like this issue. I'm very curious to see how they're going to take this. This has grabbed my attention.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed this as a psychological look at, obviously he's damaged, the way he gets his powers in itself is damaging him, but also just the way he tells the story. He tells it like, I blacked out, and when I woke up I felt like I was flying, I was amazing. Well, in reality he was flying and he was amazing, but but he tells it in such a way that the other people in the AA meeting can take it as any other AA story, but on page as the reader you're seeing what happened. So I like that. It was very interesting. I had a good time with it. The artwork is nice.
Yeah.
Nothing stand out, but it was a good issue. I liked it. Like I said, I liked the little cues that they gave in there with the storytelling. Now this one has almost a stylized, realistic artwork to it. This is also from Dark Horse Comics, Kiss Me Satan. Now, the stylized, realistic artwork goes perfect because this is a more action-oriented, more gory. There is some really nice gunplay in here, and later in the issue. Overall storyline goes that New Orleans is kind of run by werewolves. They're like the running gang, I guess, is the group. Opens up. Barnabas is the main character here. Is being hunted by demons, and he's getting orders from angels. So there's a little bit of why is he doing this exactly, and you get a little idea that there's some kind of deal being brokered here. There's, at the same time, storyline going with the werewolf leader. He's about to have a son, and these witches come to do their part as divining whether the son will have the werewolf gene, basically. And if not, the leader kind of is put aside because he didn't produce a proper heir. Long story short, he's going to be put aside, and he kicks off a bunch of events where basically Barnabas is sent to protect the witches by the angels. And I really like the artwork in here. I like the little subtle, like, one page, everyone's just like, what just happened? And then the next page, one of the witches says, okay. And the other ones, you can see, like, the little shift in their eyes are looking at her like, what? He's the guy with the gun. Why do you agree to that, like, so quickly? So, I really did like the artwork in here. It's an interesting story. It's not as much of a heady story as Buzzkill. It's going to be a more action-packed and purely action.
I agree. I enjoyed both of them.
What do you think of the artwork?
I like the artwork in Kiss Me Satan a lot better.
Mhm.
It fits more along the lines of what I've been reading lately.
Mhm.
But both stories are good, and it's nice that they managed to get something other than a zombie. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It was nice.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
And the mention of the vampires. If any vampires are in the town, they're just there as dressing.
That's right. Yeah. So we got werewolves, we got witches. You know, we've got angels, demons. It's a nice twist.
Yeah, I like it. This one is from Image Comics. This is Zero, #1. Going right off the bat, what did you think of the artwork?
Didn't like the artwork whatsoever.
Yeah, me either.
Um,
Didn't really appeal to me.
No, it's. I don't even know what you call the style that it is, but it just.
It's a rough
It's
pencil
very.
work.
It is
basically.
really rough, and it just doesn't do anything for me.
Well,
Story.
what do you tell
I'm okay with the story. Basically, it's about a covert operative who is sent out to retrieve a missing piece of something that we're not really sure what it is.
It's a biotech kind of thing,
Yeah.
implant.
And also, this takes place in a not so distant future. Let's say close to 2040 in that general time frame.
I think the main action is taking place in 2018, and
Yeah.
you get a little opening page is in 2038, and you see an old man with a kid with a gun to his head, and he's the one telling the story.
Right. I mean, so basically, these countries in the Middle East each have their own biomedically super soldier kind of guys.
Yeah.
These two guys are battling it out. Our hero has to go in covertly and let no one know, get the piece of biotech out of the chest of the Palestinian, and without anybody knowing, and that's basically where it is. While there's a battle going on, while there's tanks around, it's an interesting story.
He tries to be covert, but he's not very.
No. You know, and listen, blood is flying all over this.
This needs a big little warning sign. I'm actually surprised there isn't any warning on the cover. This is gory, bloody, just even with the artwork being rough as it is, it's still pretty visceral. And there is a scene, a full page or two of what can only be described as gratuitous sex. Yeah. I don't know if it really. I know why it was there, but I don't think it really had to be sex. It was kind of just. It was gratuitous in every meaning of the word. I didn't see the point of it.
I agree. The characters could have easily done without
hinted at something else as a deeper relationship and whatever.
Whatever. But, overall, I like the story. Hated the artwork. I will read it again just to, continue on to see how they're going to take this story.
Yeah. So sum it up. Buzzkill is a more psychological. Kiss Me Satan is pure action. And Zero, while it is action and gory and bloody, there is a little hint at the end that there might be a more philosophical ending where he gets a little bit of a conscience. So there's a little bit of a mix for everybody this week.
Yeah, I liked all three books. I like the storyline in Buzzkill the best, but the artwork in Kiss Me Satan, the best.
Yes.
And Zero, I got to see where they're going to go with it.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. The first two kind of stood out to me the most, and Zero kind of... I know I say this a few times, but this really is... It's one I'll probably come back to in a trade when they collect it. So it doesn't have a number of how many they're going to do, but I kind of want to see where it goes before I pick it up. All right. That has been our new releases for today, and next we actually only have one review, but it's a good one, so check it out. Even though we only have one review this week, Lito was kind enough to do a review for Ballistic #2 from Black Mass Studios. If you looked on a previous Comic Station, we did the issue #1 as a preview, so this is a full review of the second issue. Of course, Lito touches on the fact that this kind of jumps right into issue #2, so there's a little bit of a background, but you kind of should read the first one. Not entirely necessary, though. Overall storyline is it's a futuristic, kind of nightmarish future where eco-tech is kind of used. Everything is kind of living, even the car, and the main character has a gun that can talk, and it's very reminiscent of a Suda51 video game. People have seen that. Weird. And going on with this, he has a lot to say about the weird, but first off, the pacing is really, it's fast yet slow. It's a strange little mix because the events fly by, a lot of different scenes, a lot of different everything happening, yet overall, nothing actually. Leto didn't feel anything actually happened. So while a lot of stuff happened, the plot didn't really progress too well. The artwork is solid, but the colors and the ecotech, because of how weird it is, it's very psychedelic. They kind of blend in, and you kind of lose some of the pop that it could have had otherwise. I love this sentence, a little long, but Leto wrote it perfectly, so I'm going to give it to you as he gave it. Ballistic is weird, very weird. I could actually probably cover this paragraph with synonyms for weird and still not really cover it, but it feels almost disingenuous in its weirdness. This is something that's made weird, not necessarily because the creators legitimately thought these were interesting ideas. Basically, it's weird for weirdness' sake. Very psychedelic, very suited. Although he does end it that it's a fascinating kind of weirdness. He did enjoy kind of the world that it created. But overall, as a story in itself, it can go either way. If you want to read the full review, Leto does a great job of basically summing up just how out of the world this little series is. You can read it on frontwardsgamer.com, as with all our reviews.
All right, now this week, normally over the past few months, I've done recommendations. It's been hard this month because a lot of stuff, especially from DC, isn't coming out normally. What we're dealing with in DC is Villains Month. We're dealing with 3D covers, and we're dealing with a lot of mess.
I got mine.
You know, these are all standalone stories. If you like specific villains, this
I got
is it.
Deathstroke, Cheetah from Wonder Woman, Ra's al Ghul.
There you go.
There's really good ones.
Every week they come out. You may be able to get them. You may not be able to get them. They've been allocated from DC because of ordering issues. When they originally placed their orders, they placed them before they had all the orders in, so they got shorted. You can
holographic
get them.
covers.
Yeah.
So people are just grabbing them just because they look cool too.
It's neat, and if you can pick them up, I suggest you do. I know they are already going up in price online. You know, and they are. Some of them are very, very neat. So, you know.
I mean, they're the same standard talent that has been working on some of the main titles, so you're not getting a gypped by, like, most of these titles aren't having, like, a third tier writer come in. So.
Yeah, no, they're good books. It's just, once again, you know, it's the novelty of the 3D cover, which is driving the sales on this, and they are standalone stories. So you know, if you miss one, you're not missing something along the lines of Batman or Teen Titans or whomever. So you know, get them while you can, and enjoy them. They're neat to look at.
Yeah, villains are always some of the most interesting characters. So.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you for joining us for issue number 38 of Comic Station for September 18th, 2013. I am Paul Nisi from Front Towards Gamer.
And I'm Scott Cates of the Comic Station.
And even though I'm on vacation, we will see you next week.